Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we're very pleased to have in the studio with us today Elizabeth Strout. She's the clinic director for Ellie Mental Health San Diego. How you doing there, Elizabeth?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Oh, can't wait to hear all about what you folks do. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year with a whole bunch of cool things going on at Liberty Station. Kristen, why don't you get us started with questions for Elizabeth?
Start it off.
Yes.
So what is the mission of Ellie Mental Health San Diego?
Ooh, happy to share. So our mission is to compassionately transform the culture of mental health care by providing creative solutions that make wellness accessible in every community.
Excellent. And how did you get it into, therapy and mental health? And tell us about your journey.
Oh, I'd love to share. An interesting journey. I always saw myself actually going into criminal justice. That's what I went to school for.
Okay.
That was the path that I thought I'd take.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a job at this after-school program. I think I was maybe a freshman in college working with underprivileged children, and I just loved them. I felt so connected to what we were doing there. So many of them. It was the most connection they got all day. It was some of the only full meals they received all day. And it just felt like this was my calling. So I switched into social work, and the rest is kind of history. It just felt like it fit.
Nice. And then you started with Ellie about a year ago?
Started the process about a year ago.
Okay.
So it's an interesting process to get the clinic up and running.
Oh, okay. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So Ellie is a franchise.
Okay.
I'm not sure if many people know that.
No.
It's very unique. There aren't, as far as I know, any other franchise mental health companies.
Interesting.
So yeah, it is really interesting, and I can dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Please.
But it took about a year to get everything up and running, to open the doors to the clinic. Had to go through all of the legal aspects, right? Opening the professional corporation and, doing all of the background, finding the location, building it out. I have a partner who's the franchise owner, fantastic human, Todd Mayo. Love working with him. So there was a lot of behind the scenes before we opened our doors on February 5th in Sorrento Valley.
Very cool.
Congratulations.
So what are the benefits of doing a franchise? I mean, I haven't heard of a franchise like this. So yeah, why did he/you decide to go in that direction?
Yeah, well, first off, I think we both feel very connected to the mission, the values of Ellie, what it's trying to do for the community all across the United States. It started back in 2015 in Minnesota. And really the whole premise of Ellie is to fill the gap, to provide affordable, accessible, in-person mental health care. And that means we do bill insurance so people can actually afford to get therapy, and therapy that's in person. So we're really trying to meet that need in the community. So I think that's what really attracted both of us to Ellie. And the great thing about doing the franchise model is that we get to have the best of both worlds. We get to have the support of a really fantastic, strong corporate backing, but we also get to do things for our community that are specific to the needs of San Diego. We don't have somebody in Minnesota dictating how and what we pay our clinicians here or how we set up the structure of our clinic. But we get all of this fantastic support in the form of a billing team and a credentialing team, a scheduling team, and also the beautiful brand that we have that I think is so authentic and so accessible and unique. So all of those things, I think, just make a really wonderful package that the community is responding so well to.
That's great. Just a few. I'm just going to monopolize the interview, Drew. So just sit tight until
I'll just wake me up. No, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
We can't talk enough about mental health every day, every show, and it needs to be out front and center, as you well know.
And I know Drew loves to talk holistically about why mental health is so important, things like that. So I just want to kind of dial in a little bit more, and then maybe you can dial us a bit back. But talk to us a bit about how many clinicians there are. Like, are there specific specialties that that each of them focus on, or it seems like you all kind of focus on as a whole? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, great question. So we are a new clinic. Like I said, we opened our doors in February, so we're still building up our caseload and our therapists. So I have 3 full-time so far, but our suite can fit 10.
Okay.
I have quite a few that are on board. They're just working through their credentialing. So I can hire 9 plus myself. So 3 full-time so far, and we're really aiming to be able to serve the lifespan and as many issues and concerns as possible. So right now we can serve from 6, all the way through as old as is needed and interested in therapy.
Okay.
And we're really trying to serve as many issues and concerns as possible. So hiring with therapists with backgrounds that are very diverse, that all have different techniques and modalities that they use. For example, I can tell you just of the 3 plus myself that we have so far, we provide EMDR. We have someone that specializes in OCD, grief and loss, trauma. We kind of utilize many different modalities as well. Children, families, couples. So really trying to meet that need.
Yeah, just running the gamut. I had another question and it just went out of my head.
But it'll come back in the head.
Oh, I did. I have it.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You found it.
I did. I found it. So you talked about how it's in-person counseling. Can you talk about how that's different? Because we've moved away from that with the pandemic, right? There is a lot of online therapy. So how does it differ? Why is Ellie's sweet spot that kind of in-person support? So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And what I'll say is it's always about the need of the client, right? So if a client comes in and says, telehealth is best for me, we will offer that.
Awesome.
But it will never be the first option for us.
Got
it's
it.
not about what's convenient for us. It's about what does the client need. And we have plenty of clients that are from out of county. So telehealth is the only option because they haven't been able to even find a therapist where they live. So yes, in-person really is our sweet spot, because human connection is so important, and there's such a different vibe when someone's sitting in front of you than when you're behind a screen.
Yeah.
And again, therapy is fantastic no matter how you receive it, but there is a different level, I think, of connection. Like I said, you can see body language differently. I think clients get more comfortable. We can also talk about the actual clinic itself in a little bit, but just how comfortable and inviting it is. And that's kind of a core premise of what we do at Ellie too, is creating that physical environment. And it seems to be very successful and what most clients are looking for.
Yeah,
when we get calls, that's what they're asking for. Do you do in person?
Right.
Yeah, there's no question about that. We're chatting with Elizabeth Strout. She's the clinic director for Ellie Mental Health San Diego. I'm Drew Schlosberg. So listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for more than 6 decades. Mission Fed has really been doing great things for those living in San Diego County, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. You know, you hit something. This is why we talk about it so much on our Spotlight show, the absolute shortage of mental health therapists. That's nothing new to you. Of course, you probably hear this all the time, depending on what numbers you want to use. 10,000 short, 18,000. It's a huge number, and that's just in our region, not counting, multiply that across the country on this. So anything you can do is so critical. And you're right. There's nothing like face-to-face, chatting with someone on this. But I'll say this for the 4 millionth time on my shows. I'm hoping I am still alive when the stigma of mental health is no longer a stigma. Now, we've made headway on it. That's good. But we're probably on the 5-yard line with 95 yards more to go.
Agreed.
Talk about that. How do we get rid of this stigma?
Oh, I love that you bring that up because that's also really a core value, I think, of Ellie, right?
Right.
Destigmatizing mental health.
That's right.
And I think, a big piece that we really try to do is to showcase the authenticity of our company, of our therapists. You see it through our marketing. You can see it even, in the shirt that I'm wearing.
I love that shirt. Can you read it?
Yeah, shout it out.
It says, I'm in therapy, you're welcome. And we have tons of information like that. And when we're out in the community doing our outreach, all of our marketing materials show this. And I think that plus the setting of our clinic, the type of therapists that we're looking for, really that also feel aligned with our values of creativity, authenticity, humor, compassion, acceptance, and determination, all really lend to destigmatizing mental health.
Yeah, when we come back from break, Elizabeth, we'll talk more about that aspect. Also, we always save time in the second half for what can our listeners do to help support your efforts, certainly amplify what you're doing. You hit something that's so key to your mission, that's accessible mental health. And someone goes, well, isn't that not accessible? Well, exactly. It's not. And then love to talk about, I think Kristen might have been going down this route too. You brought it up. What does it look like? Okay, now you walk into one of your clinics, and what can I expect when you do that? How's that sound?
Absolutely.
We're
Perfect.
Going to be back with Elizabeth Strout. She's the clinic director for Ellie Mental Health San Diego. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to an edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., and brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 60-plus years, just doing great things in San Diego County. We are joined by Elizabeth Strout, clinic director for Ellie Mental Health San Diego. And I'm with my co-host, Kristen Fogel, executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. Before turning over to Kristen, talk a little bit about accessibility. People may think it's mental health can be accessible. That's not necessarily the case, is it?
No, absolutely not. And one of the things that we're very dedicated to at Ellie Mental Health is providing accessible mental health care. I can't tell you the number of clients that finally get to us and say, you are the 10th person that I've reached out to.
Wow.
Everybody has wait lists. I can't get in. I can't find anyone that will take my insurance. And they're really just defeated. And then they call us and we say, we can get you in next week.
Wow.
How's Monday sound?
That's huge.
And they just don't believe it. There's such a relief. And that is why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. So how are you funded?
We do insurance billing.
Oh, great. Okay. And did you turn down at all, or that? How does that work? I mean, well, some insurance say we're not going to cover this.
No, very rarely does that happen. I mean, I won't sugarcoat things. It is difficult to do insurance billing. I think that's why so many people choose not to. It's a lengthy process to get credentialed with the panels.
Interesting.
So bringing on a new therapist can take 90 to 120 days.
Okay.
So, we're really looking for those people that are, I think, feeling connected to our mission, that are willing to wait to come on board. I will say we don't really have claims that get denied. I think insurance companies are absolutely willing to pay for mental health care.
That's great.
Because there aren't very many clinicians that go through the process.
Right.
So once we can get someone in the door, there are not problems providing the service.
Right. So once you go through the process, then is it smooth sailing from that point forward?
Pretty smooth sailing. Yeah, I'd say so. There are definitely nuances with each insurance that we're learning as we go, and even helping as part of our intake to educate clients on what it means to have co-insurance or a high deductible plan, and what they potentially may have to share the cost for.
Yeah. Kristen?
I'm curious about, therapists. It seems like we need more qualified therapists. Do you find that there are more people going through these type of programs to hopefully meet this need, or what are your thoughts about that?
You definitely hit the nail on the head. There is a huge shortage of mental health therapists, clinicians in the field. And I think what we're trying to do is help with the burnout, because I think people leave the field so easily because it's so difficult, and there aren't that many places that really emphasize the therapist and their needs. And that's what we're trying to do so that we can avoid people leaving the field. And also, I think just by what we're doing and our mission and the way that we market ourselves, it does make us attractive. And hopefully that would be a reason that more people would want to go into the field. And I know myself, I love educating young people on mental health, telling them what I do. I've already done a few panels at colleges and schools to say, this is my job. This is what it would look like to get into this field, and try to get more people excited about it. But I can say Ellie itself is really trying to do the work to support therapists so that they can stay in the field and get what they need and not have that level of burnout.
When we talk about, having, shortages of mental health professionals, 10,000 or whatever the number is that because there's no resources to pay those 10,000, or is it because people just aren't going into that field, or a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's very expensive and time intensive to become a therapist.
Right. On this. And so, but we all know that those folks who want to do it are very special people, because they're willing to listen and support and all this. And I know our producer, Brandon Joe, we've talked about this. He's been on the show with some of our mental health professionals talking about it, especially for a college student he's at UCSD. Do you see that it cuts across the board? There are kids from age 6 to 106. There's not one population that needs it more than others.
Absolutely. I think mental health is universal. Everyone can benefit from it, no matter the age or issue or concern. Yeah,
we've had some great folks on here, as Kristen knows, and very interesting researchers talking about the causes of mental health. I mean, that list is probably as long as War and Peace, the novel. But one of the things we always bring up is social media. Of course, that is one of the things at the top of the list on this. Do you talk about causes at all when you work with your patients, so to speak, or ways to reduce their stress? How does that work?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge piece of therapy, is really understanding the why and where did something come from, and identifying that and what core beliefs are attached to that, and how can we maybe challenge and change those things to give you a different outlook on the world.
Are you seeing kind of post-pandemic? I'm always fascinated about just the effect of the pandemic on all sorts of places. I mean, particularly mental health though, but what sorts of issues are you seeing that have cropped up since this whole, interruption in our lives?
Absolutely. I think that is a central theme that we see. I think social anxiety, isolation, withdrawal, I think there's definitely been an increase in that screen addiction because that's really all we had for connection for so long. And we're definitely seeing it with school-age children that had such a disruption.
Right.
And now they're coming back to they have to go to school full-time and maybe they missed so much and they're trying to catch up and all of the stress and anxiety from that. So absolutely.
And not that I have a personal interest in this, but tell me about like the screen addiction, like infinite scroll sort of thing. What are some easy things if people are listening to? Because I doubt that I'm alone in that. You just kind of zone out and then, let that kind of take over. So what's something that not that it's me asking for a friend, what can my friend do to help with that? Just from your professional opinion.
Good question.
There'll be a bill in the morning, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to use the next 10 minutes to just address my problems. So if that's cool with you, that's
100%. 100%.
I actually talk about this quite often with my clients because I think that has really made it difficult for us to be present in the moment and be mindful because we're constantly being activated by the TV and the computer and the phone. So I do work a lot with my clients on practicing mindfulness. It's hard. It's very difficult. Maybe you start with 5 minutes a day of a guided imagery or a meditation or some type of grounding where you're not looking at your phone and you're really trying to practice being in the moment and being present and not needing those distractions. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but gradually increasing that can help your nervous system to calm down and be used to just sitting in the peace.
Well, I'm glad that mindfulness techniques has kind of worked its way into the forefront. It's something that wasn't present and, nobody knew who mindfulness was like 15, 20 years ago. But now it's a buzzword and it's actively practiced, which I think is even more useful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So some of the major challenges that you folks face, like we all face in all that business, what would you say they are in your world?
I think working with insurance, right? The credentialing piece is difficult.
Right.
And we're still learning so much about it. Every insurance is different. They require different things. They have different expectations. So I'd say that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we have as we're navigating this and trying to figure out how best that we can be a provider that works through insurance. So I think that would be what I'd identify as our biggest challenge right now, but we're learning every day and overcoming obstacles, which ultimately helps our clients.
Yeah, do you see other folks jumping into the same space that Ellie Mental Health is doing and franchising, other people coming in, or that's such a tough putt, most people don't want to do it?
I think it's pretty tough. I think it's brilliant, and I think it would be beneficial for more people to jump in on this, but I think it's a heavy lift.
Right.
So it would take, I think, some people that are pretty dedicated to the process, but I would love if it would happen because, again, it'll provide more accessibility for clients.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Kristen.
I was just going to say, I'm not going to get into the pitfalls of like advertising and brand recognition, but the positives of that are, if you start to see Ellie all over the place and, associate that with a great experience and, making your life so much better and all of that sort of stuff. Hey, that's something where I think brand recognition is really powerful and really important. So
absolutely.
I like that idea.
Well, and like you just mentioned, you see people, and we've heard this from some of the mental health experts that have been on the show, is that they're frustrated. We've had Palomar Family Health on. They've done a great job. And they talk about, listen, we would love to be able to see, and they deal a lot with the schools, see this 8th grader or 8-year-old, whatever the case may be, and then next appointment we'll see in about 12 months is, and the parent, what do you mean 12 months? I go, that's our next opening. And instead of 3 weeks, and here you are, is that, no, we can get you in about a week. And besides after they've fainted and you revived them, I think that's great. What else can our listeners do to support what you're doing? Obviously, as Kristen was saying, get the word out, but what else?
Yes, absolutely. Get the word out. Talk about mental health. Follow us on social media. We're really trying to be connected to our community. Come visit us when we're doing outreach in the community. reach out if you're interested in services or you have questions about mental health. We're happy just to have a conversation and a consultation if you just want to know what it might look like.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's huge too, because sort of it demystifies, the fact of, no, it's mental health. It's like you got a broken arm and all that business. You can get that. No one takes any other look if you got a cast on your arm in that area. So that's great. How do they get a hold of you, Elizabeth? What's the best way?
So you can either go to our website and fill out a form requesting information.
Okay.
elliementalhealth.com. If you go to locations and search for Sorrento Valley, you could also call us at 858-643-5687.
That's okay. If not, they will find it. They can absolutely Google that.
Also, I don't know my office number after 11 years.
I don't know my cell number.
Yeah.
Say,
I know.
I never call my cell number.
I will be able to tell you all the numbers of all my childhood friends growing up, however. That's not very useful.
I can tell you my old phone number when I grew up from 400 million years ago.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. But I can't tell you my cell phone number. So was that the right number?
858-548-5367.
Excuse me, say it again.
Yeah. 548-5367.
Very, very good. Well, Elizabeth Strout, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the great work of Ellie Mental Health San Diego. Wishing you nothing but great success moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Very good. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Hope you enjoyed listening to this edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. Thank you very much, Kristen Fogel, again, for a great job co-hosting, and we hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.